Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Smith Podcast. My name is Chad Smith, and today is Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. I'm joined, as always, by my two co-hosts from Southern California, Sonny Conway and Spooky Morales.
Good morning, boys.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going, man?
Don't waste another second on me and Sonny. Let's go straight to the meat and potatoes of this show, man.
Right.
Don't be leaving them backstage no more time than we need to. Ladies and gentlemen, for the second time on the podcast, Carl the Crusher.
We fam now.
How's it going, dude?
It's going good. Welcome. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for agreeing to come back to this crazy show that we got going on here.
It's fun. We can actually talk about what we want and just enjoy it. And it's a good morning show too. For me, it's fun.
Yeah, man.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Good time to brew some good coffee. Got the Carl the Crusher mug.
Oh, yeah. I should have got mine. I'm getting ready to relaunch some new merch. Tupacabra helped me design some cool stuff. And then I'm going to be re-pushing out my website with merch and have a bunch of new cool stuff coming on.
That's a smart collaboration, man. Tupacabra, brilliant artist.
Yeah, and I want to do it. A lot of people don't know this, but Chris Bartell, the guy from who's a good friend of mine, former security guy from Skinwalker Ranch, he's a really good graphic designer too. So I'm trying to do this thing where it's like, man, I want to collab with cool graphic designers and artists, and then do this is the Tupacabra line of Carl Crusher merch and this and that or whatever. And that way it's cool. All of our friends get to help cross promote each other and do cool stuff together and collab.
Right on.
And all of that. That's how I want to do it rather than just, doing it all myself. But it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, you're in good hands with Tupacabra, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. He's come back with some cool stuff. I'm just getting ready to redo my website so I can have somewhere to put it. But anyway, big spin-off because of your coffee mug there, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, the one question I wanted to get out of the way, I was going to ask you when we were backstage, but I was like, oh, yeah, we got to wait for the podcast to start. It's pretty off topic from everything else. So the RC car stuff, are you still doing that kind of stuff? Because I saw the banner of your friend's company back there, and I remembered that they do some metal work for you.
Yeah, so that's my nephew's welding company down in Las Vegas, and Infinity Arcs Welding. He does a bunch of cool stuff, and he did a lot of the RC car custom welding. I need to get back into it, but what I did was I started getting so into the research and documenting everything up at Mount Wilson Ranch and really focusing my main YouTube channel in that direction that it's hard to break up the story with what's going on. And This is the reality of it. I go up to Mount Wilson or to the Magic Mesa, and I'll work there for maybe 48 hours. And I come home, and no joke, it takes me a month to go through and edit the segments of that research, because I'll spend, 3 hours or 4 hours in one particular building and come home with a ton of footage from 3 different pieces of equipment. By the time I process through that, I have a 10-part mini series that I'm trying to get online and share with everybody. And then I put it all together into one whole documentary. And by the time I'm finished with that, I've already been back to Mount Wilson again, and I've done it again to myself. I have a whole nother hard drive full of stuff I've got to go through. So then to do RC cars, I'm like, where am I going to do that? Where, I have this idea, I have this, I realize I have this array of high powered lasers, and I'm like, man, I want to try to shoot stuff with lasers, or whatever. And I have all these fun ideas that I want to do, but I'm so invested in these other projects. But I do have another YouTube channel where I'm doing more kind of my backyard family, cool stuff. And I do have some plans there. It's just, I'm really invested in this Mount Wilson Ranch research right now. It's taking all my time.
There might even be a way to somehow incorporate the RC cars into an investigation somehow, later on down the road. maybe if there's a tight spot that you guys can't reach or
Yeah.
can't or don't want to go into or something, strap a flashlight and a GoPro on the top of one. And
I've done it a few times for cave exploring, and what ends up happening is the connection between the camera and the live feed. You end up having to have like a tethered camera system, so you're driving an RC car in, dragging cables, and then trying to get it out without tangling it up.
Oh, okay.
I've experimented probably 3 or 4 times with that and run into problems. What I end up realizing is that it's way easier just to use like ground penetrating radar or like start getting into drones. And so I'm starting to try and get back into drones and the VR drone flying, and because they do have ones that can actually go into caves, that won't freak out and lose signal. But they're expensive. That's why it's all part of like why I have to sell merch and all that stuff, because I want, ground penetrating radar and
right,
drones
that's
that,
not cheap.
drones that have thermal imaging and can fly into caves and stuff. But
Yeah, it's funny, as we grow up, our toys just get way more expensive.
Right.
So much more sophisticated and way more expensive.
You're way too old to be playing with RC cars, Crusher.
That's the whole thing. Carl the Crusher. That was Crusher was a nickname I got as a kid with my friends and stuff when we were goofing around one day. And so RC cars, it's just never growing up. That's the thing. My YouTube has just been my quest of like, how do I like not have a normal job, right? How do I just still do all the stuff I loved to do as a kid, but couldn't? But now
That's why I'm such a big fan of it, because I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
I tell Chad in my next life I want to come back as one of Carl the Crusher's kids. Wow!
Careful what you wish for. Yeah. You might.
Hey, so we're talking about this this ranch today, this Wilson Ranch, and I want to make sure that everybody in the chat room and in the audience, knows a little bit of the history about the ranch. And I know you talk about like Valet and Bigelow being there. If you don't mind, just giving a little, what's happening at that ranch over the decades.
Oh man, it's kind of still blowing my mind how much it goes back. Because if you really want to get into it, like my last trip there, we even found arrowheads and spearheads that are prehistoric. Were like,
oh man,
Clovis period, the time of the mammoths and stuff. There was people dwelling in that area. So I mean, if you want to go way back, it gets really strange. But
Were those arrowheads still made of like obsidian, or was that more like a rock?
1 second.
Oh man. I've heard some of them that are really old, guys. The obsidian's almost clear, like ice, like a diamond. Like
Whoa.
it's see-through.
Got a couple of them.
Glad you asked, Sonny. Now we're good.
This is a whole tray of
wow.
of pottery and arrowheads from Mount Wilson. One of the locals, after I found a piece of pottery up there, he ran back to his house and came back with a coffee can full of this stuff.
Yeah, that was cool. You got gifted.
Yes.
That white one, Carl, that white arrowhead.
So there, this one here
Ooh.
is a hold it up against my shirt, kind of. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
The way this bottom edge is flaked off here dates this Clovis period, which is like the time of the woolly mammoth.
That's unbelievable.
This is the bottom of one too. Let's see, and the top as well. Yeah, so this is obsidian as well. And some of the obsidian is very strange. It's like it has almost like tiger stripes. I have a piece of it. I wonder. This is just a normal arrowhead. Let's see. This whole tray is full of pottery and arrowheads. Here's a piece of pottery that has a hole drilled through it.
Yeah, the pottery is amazing to me.
And they've found pots that are still have twine wrapped around them, like handmade rope going through these drilled holes, and they're hanging from the trees. And you're like, wait, like none of it makes any sense. It's like it's in the wrong timeline.
Yeah.
But anyway, but when it comes to like Bigelow and Jacques Vallée, the story is that Mount Wilson is right near and north of the Nevada test site in Area 51. And back in the probably the 1980s, early 90s, there was this MX missile program, and they were looking for missile site locations where they could develop and put several of these missiles and do missile testing for the MX missile program. And Mount Wilson was one of these potential sites. On the top of the mountain, they were going to level it off and put basically a missile silo in the mountain. But what happened is they get up there, and the story is they end up closing off the whole area, and the locals see them driving like truckloads of anthropology, of artifacts, bones, all kinds of stuff. Like they found caves and evidence of prehistoric dwelling or different things. And nobody really knows. The rumors are that there's like Spanish stuff up there, like armor and treasure and swords and all kinds of stuff. And even older than that, there's the conversations about bones of little people, like hobbit type people, and even giants and all that kind of stuff all over that area. And so what happens is it's no longer a potential location for the MX missile program. Now it's this research site for anthropology and for archaeology. So they close it off and start doing all this research up there. And what happens is one of the head anthropologists or archaeologists, I don't know which one it is. I need to find out who their name is and if they're still living, because I want to track that down. I'm still doing a lot of that. So she's coming out of her cabin there at Mount Wilson one morning, and she witnesses a paranormal encounter with what she called a shaman, which is like a transparent looking ghost of a Native American figure, like in full dress, like a Kachina doll, basically standing outside of the cabin. And that basically, I don't know what happens, the whole story. It's just this confrontation, like an appearance. And then this figure disappears, and she's like, oh my gosh, and this whole story happens. And then next thing we know, Bob Bigelow owns the property. And he has Jacques Vallée and Hal Puthoff and all these people from the Stanford Research Institute up there. And up in the mountain and in the canyons and in this location, they're doing the same research as in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where they're doing light and sound and frequency experiments, kind of similar to what you see going on at Skinwalker Ranch, even now on the TV show and stuff. And this is all going on back in the 90s, up at Mount Wilson. And there's journals written by Jacques Vallée where he writes about the time when they're there at the saloon with Hal Puthoff and Bob Bigelow and all this, how Bob Bigelow, he told the current owner of the ranch that he has seen the shaman in one of the rooms at night when he woke up, and this apparition was standing next to his bed. Whether or not these stories are true or not, I don't know. One of the caretakers at the property has found all kinds of artifacts, spearheads, arrowheads, different things. Some of it I still haven't been shown yet. There's still some secrets around the ranch. But basically, they're in his journals. Jacques Vallée talks about how they were at the saloon at Mount Wilson doing research when Bob Bigelow starts talking about this property in northeastern Utah that has a lot of UFO sightings and paranormal stuff, and that ends up being Skinwalker Ranch. And so Mount Wilson Ranch was being researched heavily right near Area 51 because of all of this, right before Skinwalker Ranch became a thing. And then simultaneously, they were both researched, but Mount Wilson was completely kept secret. And then fast forward years later, my friend Jeff has a really successful window tinting company, and he ends up, buying this ranch from Bob Bigelow and hearing all these stories, and then even having an encounter with one of the Rockefellers there, and a lot of interesting stuff happened. And out of everybody, they watched my YouTube channel and asked me if I would come and help. And so I've been going up there and helping them research the place, and now it's becoming a whole thing. So hopefully that's a good summary.
Yeah, very
to
good.
Bring
Thank
everybody
you.
up to speed. Yeah.
Yeah, Carl, was there a reason? Did you find out that they kept Mount Wilson secret from, like, while they were doing the research on Skinwalker? Like, why would they keep the Mount Wilson Ranch a secret when it's like a much smaller area?
That's the of the big question, because Mount Wilson Ranch is like over 300 acres. It's huge. And Mount Wilson Ranch is massive. It goes clear up the side of a mountain. There's abandoned mine shafts up there that have layers of history. Here in a couple of weeks, me and James Keenan and hopefully Chris Bartell are going to go and do ground penetrating radar there and a bunch of stuff. There's rumors of the caves up there where the bones and all the artifacts were found. That's still part of the ranch now that we're planning on going and locating and researching that further. And a lot of stuff. There's constantly sightings of things in the sky and stuff on the ground, paranormal encounters and all kinds of stuff. But why it was kept a secret is a huge question, and why, Bigelow has moved on. He continues, he'll have, this is kind of the pattern. It's like they research a place and then he'll move on to another one, and kind of like lily pads hop from one project to another, and the research has kind of evolved. And so you kind of wonder if that's just a way to move the funding around or to hide the funding and the research. I don't know, but that's all part of the question is like, what were they really doing or not? And,
yeah. What did they find?
What did they find and how much of it's real or not? And so that's why I'm going back up there and sleeping in the same room that Bigelow did and trying to have the same experiences and kind of either debunk it or prove it out and see what happens.
And I'm sure you probably don't get a whole lot of sleep when you're there, if I had to guess.
No, but it's amazing. Sometimes I only get 3 hours, but wake up and just feel incredible. I haven't had any, as creepy as it can feel sometimes, I still haven't had anything really bad happen. It's always just been a good time up there. But yeah, even when I get very little sleep, I wake up and it's I'm excited to get out and do more, because there's just so much cool stuff going on. And even when weird things start to happen, it's hasn't ever been like this, like a negative experience. But I don't know, maybe that's just how I'm wired, because I react to that stuff differently maybe.
Yeah, so the tech involved is that's what really gets me going, is all the technology that you guys use to do the ghost hunting and stuff out there. So what was the tablet that she's using? It's like a whole system that does a laser grid and all that. Do you know about that system enough to talk about it?
I don't know a whole lot, and she sent me the link where she got it, and I went back to the website. I was going to even put it in the last couple of videos so people could go find it, and I just couldn't find it. Either it was the wrong website, but I still need to track that down. But I'm actually have the funds set aside because of my Patreon. I'm going to be purchasing one of those just because it was really cool.
Nice.
From my understanding, what she explained to me, it was called a SLS camera. And it had a built-in display, a built-in kind of a handle, almost like a pistol grip, and then a touch screen, and you put a SD card in it, and it looked like it was recording thermal and several other things. Yeah, so you can see it captured audio. The video down in the bottom right is just my footage from my phone I'm overlaying. But it has all this other data. See, I need to still figure out what that is. What is all the white, red, and blue data? I think is just different temperatures. But
right.
Basically what it does is it detects human shapes using AI. And if it picks up a human figure, then it traces it out with a stick figure. It gives it almost like a stick man overlay.
Yeah, so this guy right now sitting on top of the bar right here, it's just obviously there's nobody there, a human person there, but it's drawing out this anomaly that it's finding in the shape of a stick figure.
Right. Yeah, so the idea is I try to use multiple levels of equipment at this point. So not only am I paying attention to how I'm feeling and how my consciousness is, how my thoughts are flowing or feeling invaded or intrusive or something, but I'm also using a REM pod or an EMF detector or different things. And so what I did in this instance was I put the REM pod on the bar at the saloon and then try to step away and triangulate my camera angle. And then she's standing over there with the SLS, and it starts picking up there's somebody standing at the bar or even on top of the bar. And at the same time as her camera starts picking up this figure that's when I look there, there's nothing there. The REM pod starts to alarm and go off like it's being touched, and her device thinks it's seeing a person standing there when there's no one there. So you try to layer all that up, plus film it all and overlay it and then share it. And you just say, I don't know what that means. But what's interesting is when you start to interact. And that's what I try to do, is be like, can you close that door, or can you do this or do that or whatever, and see if you can get, different levels of evidence that get harder and harder to debunk as just being a fluke, multiple camera angles, and then interaction that converges on another piece of equipment with several witnesses, So it gets really interesting.
I thought the multiple camera angles really added a lot to the video. That was awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah,
and I was also wondering too about the, we see those anomaly animations, and we describe it as if the spirit is dancing. But I was wondering if that might just be energies going in many different directions. You know what I mean? The way it picks up energy altogether.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the device struggling to track something that's non-physical. If it is, if it's picking up an energetic, like a thermal signature that it's trying to get a hold of the arms and it can't quite do it, it's going to give off the appearance like it's dancing or something. Yeah. But also it's difficult because we're in a room that's like, the whole saloon in the back of the bar is all mirrors. And so the whole place is full of shadows and mirrors. That's why I have my camera going, the device on the bar, and I'm like circling around, walking around and going right up to it, and all of that, trying to see if I'm creating the shape or if I'm creating some kind of a reflection or causing it. And so it's kind of wild in the moment when you're experiencing it all and you're there, but then you have to remember, like, oh yeah, I've got a camera, I've got to film, and oh yeah, I have to kind of like narrate and describe what's going on and stay rational and like.
But when your partner was right there and she was telling you what she was seeing through the device, what were you feeling? Like, what was that happening for you at the time?
I stay in a mode of positive intention and curiosity, right. And then I just try to be like, oh, hello, like we're open-minded, as though not being dismissive or disregarding that, like, oh, this is just a reflection, and walking up and being whatever disrespectful, because the stories are that like a lot of people who go and stay up at this ranch experience some kind of a shadow figure or paranormal encounter or bizarre dreams. And so I treat it with sincerity, but I'm also like skeptical and trying to prove it out, trying to get that extra edge. It's hard to walk away and go back and get another piece of equipment when you just want to like stay there in the moment and keep interacting or whatever. Yeah. But that's why I just keep going back and going back, so I don't feel like I only have one shot at it. I just try to go back. If it's repeatable, then it's repeatable, and we'll see. But I don't know.
When you go back to your studio and you start looking at that video that was filmed, what are you thinking when you see what you saw? You were there and you felt it, and you were there in the middle of it. Then you go back and look at the video and you see it. Like, what is that? How does that feel?
It's wild, because honestly, like the footage that Carol sent me, I didn't get for like probably 2.5 weeks after being there. So I watch my footage and everything that I got, and it's just like us talking and her reacting, and there's nothing on camera, and I'm just walking around. But when you double it up and overlay it and line the footage up and watch it together, then you see all of a sudden the REM pod going off at the same time as when the stick figure seems to come out of the doorway and go up to it. And you're like, wait a second. And then you have this moment, and you're trying to, like do it justice and edit it all together and convey what it was like being there and capture the moment, so that other people can feel like they're there too. And it's hard to put it all together, because sometimes it's like I have, like a whole hour in the saloon, but there can be a long phase there where we're just like struggling to get her device to work again, and so a lot of it's just like pointless to keep in the video. But it is interesting when you watch back how much like I will miss, like when I'm there and I'm worried about getting my camera to focus or I'm thinking about something else, I totally will miss weird stuff that occurred on camera or how things were acting in the room. And then I catch it later when I'm editing. Sometimes I'll try to highlight that with the way I add in the music, or I'll put things on screen to try and point it out. But I don't know. I wonder sometimes how much is sitting on my hard drive that I just didn't even catch in the editing too.
Right.
But I'm just here doing it myself. I could put it all out there for people to go through, but it'd be pretty boring, I think, a lot of it.
I noticed that I have that problem too. Like when I'm out filming, or I'm supposed to be filming, like a camping trip or a 4-wheeling trip or something like that, I always forget that I'm supposed to be doing that also. Like I'm supposed to be filming and getting footage and taking pictures, and then I get back and I have no pictures, no video evidence, or not evidence, but nothing to look back on.
I have the opposite problem now, is because when I go like by myself, I'm always second guessing, like, am I getting it? Am I going to miss it? Or if I'm the only one filming and something happens, I might miss it. So I end up coming home with such a mountain of footage to try and go through to actually put it on the internet and keep it digestible where people actually want to watch through it. Mm-hmm. It's hard because if it's up to me, I just want to put it all out there, but it's be like, 8 hours of nonsense and and stuff. But
me and Spooky would probably still watch it.
Yeah, I'd still watch it.
Maybe
Spooky,
someday.
did you see that? There's an 8-hour episode.
Yeah, that's what's been amazing is when I've gotten done with a trip and I have all the individual segments of the trip uploaded, I realize, wow, what if I just put them all back to back and I end up with like almost a 2 to 3 hour long mini documentary or like a full blown documentary. And so I just end up uploading that too. But people watch those all the way to the end. So I'm just going to.
I also like the interview you did with the young boy who had the encounter and the experience with the being. Austin. That was awesome.
Yeah, Austin. Yeah, I have other interviews too. I had one where the audio didn't turn out great, and I'm going to probably put it on my Carl Vibe channel, where my first trip up there, I interviewed a guy that worked at the Nevada test site that tells a lot of the story about the MX missile program and stuff. I'll probably put that on my Carl Vibe channel because it would be retrofit to put it in now. But at the time, that was one of those things where I did a whole like 45-minute long interview with this really interesting guy. But to put it right there in the video, it would have like killed the flow of the video project. So I'm like, where do I put all that? I have this amazing interview, and I just have to go back and put it together and upload it somewhere. But yeah, there's some crazy ones upcoming with the owner of the ranch, Jeff, and with others of the locals that have come up there. And it's like everyone in Pioche and around Mount Wilson, they have family histories tied to this. And it's almost like this mini Roswell situation where now when I go back up there, there's people in the saloon and in the diner, and they're like, let me tell you this. And they all have a story because they've been watching my YouTube channel, and they come up and they want to get involved, or they bring up evidence and show me. So it's becoming a bigger and bigger story, and the rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper. That's how I got those, Clovis points and stuff, is one of the neighbors coming up and showing me what him and his dad found in their backyard, just right down the road.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it takes them a little while to gain that trust, or to kind of trust you and the people that you bring around? And
yeah, I think that's the thing, is like a lot of people, their intentions are to go into a place and capitalize on it, and they want to take over control from the owners of the property. And pretty soon, like if Jeff and his family, if they wanted to post on Instagram, they have to go through lawyers and do all this stuff. And they didn't want to do that. They don't want to turn it into a big circus show, and but they also want to do it justice. And so I don't know why they asked me to go up there, but a lot of it was, I think they saw me, being able to work directly with Brandon Fugel at Skinwalker Ranch, and
got the
to work at these
credentials.
other places, but not get I'm not desperate to get on TV, so I'm not gonna like sell my soul for a TV show. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna just try to take over some place to build my YouTube channel up or something, because I'm already doing okay. I'm just trying to find the truth, in a good way. So I don't know. Somehow that kind of rings through, and
No, I think it definitely does. You can tell that you're doing things out of respect, and you're very respectful of the property and the things that you come across when you're there. I saw that with petroglyphs. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be a lot more, like you said. There's trash on the ground sometimes, which is unbelievable. I can't believe people make it all the way out there and still leave a bottle of water on the ground.
Oh yeah. I'll go clear out there in these remote areas where there's like ancient dwelling sites, and like 20 feet away, there's like a TV that's been shotgunned up, and there's just garbage all over the ground. And I try to like stuff as much of it as I can in my backpack and carry it out. But it's like, it's crazy. Or there's subdivisions getting built up just right over the hill where these amazing ancient sites are that people have no clue about and don't even care about anymore. But I don't know what you do. I'm trying to tell the story and trying to document it. I do get criticism, and I'll get feedback, and that has led me to accept a lot of that feedback and criticism. When I'm wrong about petroglyphs or when I get something historically wrong, I'm totally open to people correcting me, and a lot of people have. They'll reach out and correct me. But what's cool about it is now I'm surrounded with a team of awesome people. Like I have a whole group of like indigenous people that work with me, email me and communicate with me, Native American people that help me translate and look at the petroglyphs and understand their meaning and clue me into it and warn me and tell me to be careful about certain things and all kinds of stuff. And so I work with all different levels of it now, trying to respond to that feedback from all different angles. And it can be challenging, but in the end, I'm trying to do what's right for Jeff. He's the owner of the property, and, just having my loyalties be where they're supposed to be, but also my integrity just be tied to the truth before anything else.
I'm sure that's hard too. Just like you're trying to get people interested and involved. And like you said, people are setting up, Dollar Generals in these neighborhoods right by these ancient sites. And it's like you're trying to get people involved and interested and teach people the history so that they can get more involved. But you also want to protect it and not get the wrong people involved. So yeah. I can see how there'd be like a fine line there where you're trying to balance getting people involved and teaching about these things and then protecting them also.
Yeah, you get the wrong people there and they can start acting really territorial, or they get really agenda-based. Their particular system of belief or what they're trying to prove dominates their way of approaching everything, rather than, some people can be really unwilling to admit that they're wrong or whatever. And so, yeah, it's a careful process of trying to do everything right. What can happen when you bring like a big production crew in and a lot of funding and everything is suddenly everybody needs to make the boss happy, and you got to make the viewers happy. You got to keep it entertaining. And so you have some places, that I've come across where they end up compromising what could be legitimate research locations with real evidence because they're just trying to keep things entertaining in the storyline of the show or whatever they're trying to produce. And so staying guarded against that is something you have to constantly do. Like I have to admit to myself that, look, I'm making videos that need to also at the end of the day be intriguing and curious and entertaining, that keep people hooked. But I'm not fishing either. I'm not playing games either. I also am trying to tell the truth, and I'm trying to capture real evidence, and walking that tightrope can be really challenging. And so in the moment, I just almost forget I'm even carrying a camera, and I just try to be there. And then afterwards, I think, okay, now how am I going to take what happened and tell it to other people in a way that does it justice and isn't boring as hell to watch, Right. And so then I just juggling all of that. And you'll get criticism any which way you go. You're never going to make everybody happy, right. But so far so good.
Yeah, just like the big networks know, I'm sure like Discovery Channel and History Channel and all those guys know that you can't make every episode super entertaining and like drawing people in unless you add a little bit of something extra in there. And that's why I like watching your stuff, because I know that you're not adding anything extra in there. So everything in the episode is genuine. And you know, it might go a little while before something happens, but when something does happen, you know that it's legit and that Carl's not faking it. So, like, I actually referred to one of your videos. Actually, I think it was the second episode of the Wilson Ranch, to one of my friends at work, because we were talking about spooky ghost stories and spooky season. And I was like, well, you want to see a legit video? This one, I just saw a guy dancing on a bar, and there's no way that you can fake that. I mean, this was like a technology that I even noticed that even when it was trying to map you, it was having a kind of struggling a little bit just to map you, and you're like a real person with your arms out.
Right.
So that just kind of showed me even more that it was even more sensitive. Like, it has to really pick something up. Something really has to be there for it to pick something up, because it's even having a hard time struggling to map somebody that's standing there in front of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on my own version of that device, you know, and see if I can test it out and play with it, like in the dark and with mirrors and in the room and different things, even around my house, to try and see if I can recreate like secondary figures that seem like they don't belong and stuff. But if I can refine that down to where I can tell what I'm doing with that, to where it's hard to understand what was making that shape, or even continue to get interactive responses with those stick figures, that's where it gets interesting. When you say, hey, can you come back out and touch the device again? And then it's like, it shows up. It's like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that.
Right.
You know, but
yeah, that one part where the REM pod's going crazy and you're just like, well, I would ask you to touch the REM pod, but you're already doing so much that
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to ask you to do right now.
Yeah, I'm like, start slamming doors or something, or you know,
right?
I don't know what to ask, but that's when I start saying, I guess, what do I get? I guess I need several REM pods. I need to make sure mine's working properly and test it, and it just becomes a whole thing, you know, that consumes you, the whole process.
I liked it when your partner, the lady asked the spirit to please touch her hand. I was just waiting on pins and needles for.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, sitting, it looked like it was right on the bar there. And so the whole time I'm like, is she just like filming her own reflection in the mirror? And so I walk up there and I'm like, no. And then it moves down and the REM pod goes, wah, and I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
There must be just lots and lots of waves of goosebumps when you're there.
Yeah.
I'd be getting goosebumps constantly.
Yeah, interesting ones too. Sometimes... you know, down in the bunkhouse when Adam and I were there, the first night that I was there, we went walking down. People have reported that they see a guy with his dog down there, his like disappears or is transparent, like sitting on the porch. They'll hear, like when you're trying to go to bed down there or sleep, they hear people talking outside, like they're calling for the stagecoach, and they'll hear like horses and a stagecoach pull up. And it used to be where the old mining community there would meet up to get on the stagecoach to go into town, into Pioche. So it's like all that used to happen, and people talk about like almost paranormal stuff occurring down there. But when Adam and I were down there walking through, he totally felt like he was walking through almost like a cobwebs of energy. And he walked around the corner, and when I went through the same spot, I could have sworn that somebody was running up behind me and going to grab me in the back or shove me in the back. And then the feeling just like passed through my body, and I turned around and there's just nothing there. And that stuff happens. And you're like, man, I don't know if I just jump scared myself or what was that. But it really, I thought somebody was coming up to go and like scare me as a joke, but there was nothing there.
And that was in the room with the mattresses stacked up?
Yeah, why there? I don't know. Why not up where Bigelow says he... I don't know. I wasn't expecting it there. We're just walking through the room.
What does that feel like? Does it feel like wind moving, or does it just feel like an energy coming up behind you? Or
in the moment, I thought it was Adam. I thought it was him, a real person. I thought... Because in the full video clip, I go in the room. There's like mirrors on the closet door, and then there's mattresses in the corner. And Adam is ahead of me, and he walks around there, and he's like by the foot of the bed. And then for some reason, I turn around and I go back through the room. I have this kind of technique. I call it the Columbo. There used to be this TV show where this private detective, he would go investigate people. And then right after he would try to interview them, he would leave the room, and then he'd wait like 10 seconds, and then he'd come right back in real quick. And a lot of the times he would catch them trying to hide evidence and stuff. And he'd be like, aha, I gotcha. Yeah. So what I'll do is when I get a weird feeling, I'll just turn around and double back real quick to see if I just walked away from something happening behind me. So whenever I feel that, I'll go back and circle back through the room. So I was doing that, and I circled back around, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to go catch up with Adam. So I go back into the room, and I'm just coming around the corner. And what I experienced was I thought that he was playing a joke on me, and that he had come out from behind those mattresses and ran up behind me and was going to shove me in the back or go blah and jump scare me, like, and scare me. So I felt somebody running up behind me, like, and I heard the plastic on the mattresses go whoosh, and like something was running up to me.
Whoa.
And then I felt something go through my body like a I don't know, like a jolt of energy go woof and rush through my whole body from back to front. Man. And felt like something was pushing me in the back, but then went through my back. And so I went, ooh, and I turned around. Whoa. And there's just like nothing there. And then Adam comes out of the bathroom from the other side, from the other direction. He's like, tell me you felt that too. I was like, yeah. He's like, right there, right? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that was a
so
crazy
I don't know.
moment.
I thought it was him. Yeah. But I don't know. And then trying to process it, like, well, then what was that? You know, I just try to keep filming and try to capture all that confusion.
Man.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening, we're talking about the most recent uploads of the Mount Wilson Ranch. Let me see if I can. Oh,
how about this? I was going to ask about the seance. I mean, I don't want to show too much of it because it goes on a little bit, but I just wondered, you know, you saw and felt some things during the seance, and I just wondered if you could give me a little bit more of what maybe I didn't catch in the video.
Yeah, so that was a tough one because that went on for a while. That was one of those situations where trying to go back through the footage and then getting footage from Carol and the other equipment and then trying to go through it was a real challenge. But the seance was something that these ladies that were up there, that's such a weird story too. Mm-hmm. See, these ladies had just been up at a convention up in Salt Lake City. And it was like an afterlife studies convention. And Bob Bigelow just happened to be there talking about his thing where he's having people try to win the contest for the near death or afterlife studies project that he has going on or whatever. So anyway, these ladies actually met and talked to Bigelow, and then he told them to go to Mount Wilson because they were like, we're spiritualists and mystics, and we do, you know, we try to talk to dead spirits or whatever. And so we want to do this afterlife project. And Bigelow says, well, if you want to do that, go to Mount Wilson. So they go to Mount Wilson, and the owner of the property is Jeff. He calls me and is like, hey, there's these ladies here and they want to do a seance and they say that Bigelow sent them here. So I'm like, I'll be there tomorrow. So I drove up. I've never been in a seance before or anything. So I meet them and make friends with them, and they agree to let me like film it, you know, and go through the whole thing. And so the challenge was like when we start to have stuff happen, how to not buzzkill the whole seance with my filming and walking around the room like a buffoon, but also capture it, you know? And so there's these long periods where I have the camera running and I'm basically like sitting outside the circle of the seance, but I'm like meditating deeply because it's the only way my ADHD will survive. Because I'm like, I gotta walk around. What's going on? What's that?
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm just sitting there meditating, and to the point to where when stuff is happening, like there's even a spot where one of the lights in the room starts glowing on its own, and then this weird triangular shape appears on the wall to the right, and I'm just like zoned out, and everybody's talking about it, and everybody's looking around, and then Adam's like, Carl, and right as he says my name, it's like, shoo, I like come back and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm filming, and then like grab my camera and try to film it. There's some weird stuff that happens, but a lot of it was just like tapping and knocking. Like there was something going around the room, knocking on the wall or knocking on a chair. But I don't know. It was pretty interesting.
That's another thing I like about Carl too, is there'll be a noise and everybody else will just be frozen, and he'll be like, okay, and he'll start walking right towards it. I'm like, holy, I would not have that reaction.
That's my job. Like everybody's like, did you hear that in the kitchen? And I'm like, let's go. And I go in there and try to get it, you know. That scene from Ghostbusters, in the first Ghostbusters movie, when they go in the library at the very beginning, when they're in the library and they're walking down there and they see that real ghost for the first time, that woman, and then she goes, psh, like, I would love so much to catch something like that real, like on camera with a couple of pieces of device. Like, why not? Like, it would be so amazing to be the one that gets something like that. Like, I don't know. I'm trying.
Think you're getting close, man.
Trying.
Yeah. Definitely, with that guy dancing up on the bar, that was very impressive. I'm like, whoa, there's somebody up there.
Did we already show that?
Yeah, I think so. The
okay.
Green guy dancing.
Yeah, that was absolutely fascinating. And it was even trippier when she was saying, go back in the hallway, go back in that. She saw him back there, and I was, you just were like going closer and closer, and you were just like waiting to see, right?
That was tough because that room, I was like, I don't even know what's in there, And from my perspective, you can see it. We have the one light above the pool table over there on, just so that I can film, and that's it. But in that corner, and her device kept turning off randomly. So that's what it looks like in the real world. It's just like a dark room like that, full of shadows. And so back past the REM pod there is a door that's like cracked open. And this figure kept coming in and out of that door and going up to the bar. Like some former bartender still doing his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I kind of felt like he was playing with you, though, because when you walked through the doorway, that's when he showed back up again. It was kind of like every time you'd get near him, he'd kind of like walk away.
Yeah.
And then
like I go in there, and so he'd go out, like like by the REM pod, and then I come
toying
out
with you.
Yeah. And there's even a weird moment where you see him by the bar, and then as I walk up to the REM pod, it almost looks like he flies up above the door and then goes into the doorway. It's so weird.
Man, so this is an instance where this is Carl right here in the blue, but then over here you'll see there he is right there.
Yeah, so that's the doorway back there.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, that green area is a door. So to see how he like flies up and disappears.
Yep.
So weird.
Man. Then there's something else detected over on the right side too.
So there's where that green area is, there's no mirrors. The mirrors start off camera to the left, probably about 5 more feet to the left.
Mm-hmm.
So where the stick figure is appearing, there isn't, I don't know. There's nothing there that could cause that. It's just a door.
Yeah. That's just so crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was a good video. I mean, all those videos are good. All the Mount Wilson ones, every time one drops. Actually, and then I noticed that one dropped yesterday, and I didn't even have time to watch it yet. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
There's another 16-minute one I'm going to have to watch at work.
Yeah, that's all the seance and trying to figure out what's going on around that. And then upcoming in the next few uploads is when, we get up the next morning and, the local comes up and he has the coffee can full of all this pottery and the arrowheads, and we start talking, and then Jeff reveals some things to me. We put the dicyanine goggles on, and I put them on one of the guys there, and then I've never met this guy. He's like a total skeptic, just like a local. I was like, hey, do you want to try these goggles out? And they're supposed to tune in your third eye or activate your pineal gland so you can see into the astral realm. And this guy starts walking up the mountain like a homing pigeon. And he's like, you got, come this way. And Jeff's like, oh, he's going to where the shaman sighting happened. And we start going up the trail, following this guy. And this is when we start finding arrowhead flakes. I find a piece of pottery, and we wind up at the same spot where the shaman appeared to the anthropologist years ago. And this guy kept going and was headed up to where the caves are supposed to be, clear up on the mountain. And finally he comes back with the goggles off. He's like, I had to take those off. He's like, but we got to go up there. There's something still up there. I don't know what. Yeah, dude, I got all that on camera. It's still coming.
Okay, so that really brings us to...
I don't even know this guy. I don't even know this guy.
I don't think we've talked enough about the area.
Yeah,
that we're talking. I mean, this is the reason why all this stuff is happening. Why you're seeing all this stuff, all these phenomena, different forms of it. Could you just tell everybody, like, where is this area where you're working the most? And I'm hoping that Chad pretty soon will show up the one of your most recent videos of when you went out on the side by sides.
Yeah, it's
and
pulled
went
up
to look
right
at.
now.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Carl, if you could just tell a little bit about the area that we're talking about.
Yeah, so where I live is in southern Utah, right on the border between on Utah and Arizona, and the Mount Wilson Ranch is in Nevada, near Pioche, Nevada. So it's like an hour north of Area 51, and but the stretch from where I live all the way over there has similar evidence of ancient culture that inhabited this area, and their petroglyphs and pictographs, their pottery, and their oral traditions that remain are full of all kinds of supernatural stories that include everything from star people to paranormal encounters to portals, you name it. Like all of the folklore of these like lost ancient cultures exists all across this whole region. And yeah, this Mount Wilson Ranch is over in Pioche, Nevada, near Area 51, and it's heavily researched, but there's pockets all over the place. This particular video is when this company invited me, and they're like, hey, we know where some petroglyphs are that you can't get to unless you can off-road to them. And they own this company, Ready to Ride. Their website's readytorides.com. And you can actually come and stay at their Airbnb, rent their UTVs, and they'll take you out to these spots down here where I live that you can't normally get to, and you can hike in and check them out. And they took me to petrified dinosaur tracks that I haven't seen before, which is where we're going now in the video.
Yep.
And then to this location where when I showed the photos to James Keenan, he freaked out and was like, he thinks that there's pictographs on this wall here in this location that are part of only maybe 12 locations known to like a lost Grand Canyon culture. So there was a tribe of people that lived prehistoric in the Grand Canyon area that are tied into all kinds of ancient myths.
That's right.
And this is probably one of those locations that has some of those pictographs carved on it. But they don't talk about that, and they act like when you get there, like the pictographs are, maybe 400, 500 years old. But when you show them to people that know better, they're like, no way. Those are way older, and there's layers of them, layers and layers of them on top of each other on the same wall. But yeah.
Oh, it was brilliant, especially the area that it was cut out in the stone and the rock. And then it looked like almost like it was meant to be. It was almost like it was meant to be this big collage of just history for us to learn from.
So cool. Yeah. Why and there and everything. It would have been like such an amazing place to live and survive up in this canyon, but still just like amazingly treacherous when you think about it, living there.
Yeah.
It's like such a cool place, but you see levels and levels. So like all of the white colored chalk drawings could belong to part of like a lost culture, and how they're drawn is so interesting. You have the three figures holding hands. That one in the middle is almost like upside down, like Coco Apelli, like the flute player, supposed to be like a depiction of God using music to form the universe,
Wow.
And it's like this whole big archway, like a cave wall, and along this cliff face, and you walk up there and you're like, it feels like a doorway to nothing, you know?
Yeah, it's out of place, but it's in the perfect place. It's hard to, but the way you described it and hypothesize that, maybe this is some sort of doorway or portal, that they were able to access. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, they're drawing depictions of their deities or the souls of their revered leaders and relatives and things like that. And these walls and the depictions were like, spiritual doorways or gateways or portals for them to commune. And so you wonder if nearby is where they have burial sites. Yeah. So you have,
it's just nuts.
You have the 12 heads across the top, and then you have all these different figures. And then the red paint is drawn over top of the white paint, almost like adornment. It's so interesting.
Wow. Yeah. Some of these are just so, like that one right there with the lines. There's just so many questions I have, like with the 2 lines on top and then the 4 boxes.
That's the top of, that's one of those things where I got home and I was watching the footage back and I was so tuned in and focusing on just the red pigment that
I was about to say the same thing. It's so compelling when you see those red eyes. They intentionally wanted you to see the red eyes.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, man. But Spooky, those are earrings. Yeah, they're earrings. So what's crazy, there might be a shot up closer here in a second of that, but you've got the little red figure and it looks like he's like almost in a cave or something and there's a symbol next to him. But then when you shift your focus, you realize that red pigment is the top of a head and 2 earrings of what looks like 2 giant people with a little person on their shoulder. It's so weird. It's bizarro. You'll see, right there. So look over on the right.
These guys here.
To the right of that, you've got the red. Mm-hmm. See how you've got that little guy there? And then the lines above him are on top of the heads of 2 white figures.
Oh, I see.
And the red squares are the earrings, and you can kind of see the arm and shoulder on the right side of one and the other. And if you really focus on the white, you can see it's actually 2 people with the little red person on top between their shoulders.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see these guys before.
Right.
So this is a head here with 2 earrings. This is a head with 2 earrings.
Right. With a little red person in the middle, like up on their shoulders.
With the 2 lines on the top of the head. Wow.
Right. Almost like a little person up there that's only the size from their chin to the top of their head. It's so weird. The scale is all out of proportion.
Did you see any swirlies there? Any of the circular ones that we
the spirals?
Yeah.
I don't think I found a spiral there. I need to go back.
I was looking.
Yeah, I don't think I found a spiral. Just lots of figurines, lots of people and depictions of like dogs and antelope and things. Mm-hmm. This is one of the more, I hate to say it, more like human daily life depictions that I've ever seen. Most of them, like these ones and the ones right behind my house, are the closest ones to just depicting daily life. And most of them are not that. Most of them are very strange. They don't even look human.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear him, Spooky? The ones behind my house.
Yeah, a little bragging there. That's okay. A little advertisement for the up-and-coming Airbnb.
Well, technically, those are the ones in front of my house. The ones in the video are behind my house. The other way, yeah.
If you want to get technical.
Right.
Yeah, what's going on with this Airbnb, man? I'm saving my pennies.
Well, my son moved back in with me, so that's on pause.
Oh, okay.
Right. But still, yeah, things might open up to where coming and hanging out at Mount Wilson or the Airbnb with ready to rides or whatever, that would be the way to go. Mm-hmm. Come and hook up with those guys with Chelsea and Carrie. Yeah.
Oh, what an awesome really cool family. The little boy was so into the dinosaurs. That was cool.
The whole family was into it. Honestly, when we were just riding up there and stuff and talking with the headsets on, a lot of it I didn't film, but we were talking about Skinwalker Ranch and the whole mystery and consciousness and meditation. They're into all of that. Yeah. So it's a really cool experience. And honestly, if you come and hang out with them and rent a UTV to go out, they'll let me know. And if I'm available, I'm like, I'll go, because then I get a free ride and get a free video out of it too, right?
Yeah, that sounds like better than going to pretty much anywhere.
It'd be worth it, man. It's such a cool
But if
area.
I was at your house and I brought a UTV 4-seater,
that would work too.
could we still get okay?
That would work too.
Gotta get it street
And
legal.
You're talking right here on the screen, but then right directly behind you, there's a 4-seater just sitting there, and I keep thinking, man, we could just put it on the trailer. And
There's
go
4 of us right here.
house.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Boom. All right, I'll call into work right now. Let me see. You want to do a
man,
sick
I'm
day
good.
or a personal day? What do you want to do?
You better call into work for a week.
It's gonna be a while, huh?
There you go. That would do it.
Yeah.
Oh man, see,
I got places to see I still haven't seen yet, man. So let's go.
I think we need to build a Carl the Crusher cruiser.
Oh,
If we go with Carl, my role that I want to play is allowing him to just go and not have to worry about doing the camera. I would just like to do the camera work for him so he can just do his thing and, explore, and we can be right there to capture it all without him being limited with what he can do,
there's a camera mount on the front of this one. We won't even have to touch it.
It's like it's made for us.
Right. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be fun,
anytime
man.
anybody wants to come and run along or whatever, if it lines up, that would be so cool.
Akashi Chris
go.
says, "Save the neck for me, Carl," as I pull up in an RV full of YouTubers.
Yeah. That would be fun. Oh, man. I will say this. There may come a time where like Mount Wilson Ranch is a plausible location where what Jeff is trying to do and what I'm trying to do is to do the right thing towards the property and the research, but also not treat it like it's going to ruin people's lives and be some hostile thing where everybody's going to take hitchhikers home and everything, because we are proving all that out. And what would be awesome was just to have it be open source to where people could actually go stay up there, up in the bunk houses and hang out in the saloon, not only have a fun time and a good vacation, but really research a legitimate place that has been researched for a long time, where there's actual stuff going on. And we're not trying to turn it into some kind of a Disneyland. It would be like by approval only, but that would be the idea, is to have it be an open source place where people can come and see for themselves,
That'd be
and
great.
have it not be tied up in tours and a whole show and a bunch of stuff like that. You just go and sign the waiver and stay the night and good luck kind of a thing.
That saloon is so cool, man, and transports you back in time. I want to go in there and have a couple cold ones.
Me too.
Dude,
That'd
the
be fun.
history, and you get out there, and that's what blows my mind, is that you go, how far back does this go? Because the stories go, I mean, one day we're talking about Jacques Vallée up there doing...
Whoa.
That was weird.
Everybody
Yeah,
here.
it was
Very weird, dude.
You guys didn't click those?
Shut off and came back on.
I didn't do
Nobody touched
anything.
anything?
No, Spooky disappeared on my end, and then
You and Spooky both left. It was just me and Carl, and then you guys came back one at a time.
That happens to me a lot.
It does?
Yeah. Yeah, I just posted on Twitter a clip where I was on the Sean Astin podcast, and he asked me about the hitchhiker effect. And as I was talking about how paranormal things have followed me home, his entire feed went like all blurry and blank for probably 30 seconds, and then nobody
was
could
weird.
hear or see him.
Hey, Chad, you got the goosies?
Yeah, because I knew it wasn't Jamie. You can see if anybody's backstage. That was weird.
Let's see.
It's spooky season.
It was literally like somebody just went in here and went, remove, because they disappeared one at a time. And then you came back one at a time.
It starts causing I just say it. It's like it creates weird ripples, like quantum entanglement. You start talking about this stuff, and it's like everybody's consciousness switches to a different frequency off the default mode, and then you start manifesting changes in reality. So, I don't know. But I start talking about and proposing the idea. Everybody starts visualizing this future gathering at Mount Wilson, and it's almost like we Mandela effect reality, and we start to shift things differently or something.
One thing we haven't touched on today, and I know we're getting, that time of the show. Where are we at with the Mesa, the Magic Mesa?
Still going on. I'm ongoing texting back and forth with the family that kind of helps manage the property and stuff. Like I said, Luke moved back in with me, and we just started, I helped him start a side business, a window tending company with Jeff's help from Mount Wilson Ranch.
Oh,
it's like
that was Luke.
It's whole family thing. Yeah. So
okay.
that's me and my
awesome.
son doing that. Yeah.
Oh,
So we've
okay.
been like
Awesome.
redoing the garage, starting a business, doing all that, and then trying to get back up here and do that. But yeah, what's happened at the Magic Mesa is a lot of flash flooding. The whole valley down in the area below, a lot of it washed out with like a mud flow. And so what I need to do is get back out there. It sucks, but at the same time, it also churns up new artifacts. So whenever there's monsoons or rainstorms, you go out there and you might find a cave opening, you might find pottery or burial or who knows what that gets uncovered. And every time you go back there, things are new, So I need to go back there, and there's plans when James and Chris come. What is it? October 4th. So they're coming on the 12th. They're going to be here, and we're going to go do a bunch of stuff at Magic Mesa. We're going to Mount Wilson Ranch. We might be going to the pictograph spot we just watched on video here.
Oh, sweet.
Going to the ones in front of and behind my house. And there's I don't even know how much I can talk about this. There's a location that was previously researched by Brandon Fugel that we're not done with, that nobody knows about. There's a cave that has stuff in it that has already been validated.
What?
That when it got involved in a bunch of scandals involving the Mormon church, the cave was blown up.
Ooh, yeah. What? Now we're talking.
The cave was blown up and hidden. Yeah, it does involve
The Templars?
giants, artifacts, and giant bones.
No
and
way.
stuff. But yeah, it's a weird one. But I'll just say that much. But we're gonna go to this spot that's been looked at before that has been abandoned, and this is
Nice.
all, yeah,
With cameras?
my camera for sure. Yeah, and then there's other future projects coming up in December that I can't talk about that are huge projects.
Awesome, dude.
Huge
Well,
ones, yeah.
that is exciting. And
There's also land up near Skinwalker Ranch, hundreds of acres southwest near 9 Mile Canyon that has never been explored, and the property owner there, we've had to delay, but I need to get back up there and research that place too. So that's all coming too.
that's awesome, man. So there's just no shortage of things to do out there.
I can't even keep up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
You know what? One of my favorite parts about Carl's videos on his YouTube is when I get to see my name on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
mine
I'm
too.
usually not like that. I'm not looking for any of that type of attention. But at the end of Carl's videos, when it says Patreon members, Akashi Chris, Oracles and Beyond, the Chad Smith Podcast, and Spooky Morales, and I'm like, oh yeah.
I'm telling you,
talking.
if I pull a giant skull out of a cave, you guys on my Patreon are going to be the first ones to see it. I'm not
Yes.
joking. Before the Smithsonian, before anybody, because you guys are the ones literally helping me start the business with my son, helping me get the SLS camera to be able to pay for the gas to go up to these places,
Yep.
to help get Chris Bartell and James Keenan out here with their ground penetrating radar. And it's how I can even justify going into these spots to share it with everybody. And
No, it's our
spending
pleasure,
the
man.
time
We
to do
we,
it, you know?
we love supporting the real work that you're doing out there. And just so everybody knows, if you join the Patreon, one of the benefits, among others, is that you do get access to what Carl's been working on first, pictures and links to videos and things like that. So really, I mean, it's for what you spend on probably a Starbucks a month. I mean, you can help them out and keep these journeys and expeditions going.
And I take those, research ideas and equipment requests and feedback and everything directly from my Patreon before anything else. So when my inner circle on there, when they're like, hey, we want to see you fly a drone up the Magic Mesa. In the back of my mind, that haunts me until I go do that for you guys. Cause I'm like, you guys, that's what you guys want to see and what you're on that inner circle for. And so if if something's driving you crazy, like, why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he do that? And I'm just missing it or haven't got to it yet. That is the fastest way to put it in front of my face and drive me crazy to go get it done. Yeah.
She says, I know we're subtle.
She's awesome. Thanks, Hitachi. Yeah. I love my inner circle. You guys are all awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, we definitely get the most out. I mean, I've been on different Patreons before, and yours definitely is filled with the most amount of information and benefits. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll try to keep them coming.
Awesome. Well, Spooky, Sonny, if you guys don't have anything else, I guess we have to say bye to Carl for now.
Carl, thank you so much, man. Again.
You bet. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much, dude,
Anytime.
and we'll have you back.
Will do. Thanks.
All right, see you, buddy.
That was awesome.
I knew you were going to say it. Yes. As soon as I hit the button. That was awesome.
I'm glad I didn't miss it this time.
Yeah, dude, I'm so glad you were here this time. Oh, boy, we got Jamie backstage. That was so weird, though, when I knew she wasn't back there and you guys disappeared. That was weird.
I swear I had nothing to do with that. It was wild.
Whoa!
We don't
Bigfoot.
have backstage.
Well, hi, Jamie. Oh, yeah, you're at home. I forgot you're at home.
So I can actually be back here. So I thought I would show my face before.
Did you like that show?
It was fantastic. I loved it. I want to watch Carl more. He sounds great, but I must do my ceremony as I do at the end of the episode.
All right, thank you.
My button, so I'm here because I can.
Yeah.
I just want to remind everyone that at 2:00 today, me and Bree are going to be telling you all about our Bigfoot hunting experience and telling.
Whoa!
Yes.
So be around at 2. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
2 your time.
Have a good
We
rest.
love
of
you
your
more.
Love you more. Yeah, it sounds like Jamie and Bree actually had some crazy times out there in the woods. They saw Bigfoot. Oh, and
Even if they didn't see Bigfoot, imagine Jamie and Bree out in the woods together. That's enough.
What a
I
riot.
don't know if they did. We'll be getting sightings of Bigfoot testing and dirty trail.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. This was fun. Spooky. We're definitely going to have to figure out a Carl the Crusher weekend. Sonny, you too. You got to bring the. I don't know how you're going to bring the camper and the side by side at the same time, but you might have to get a toy hauler.
Yeah, that's on Deanna's list.
It's on the shopping list.
That's next. Yep. Toy hauler's next. We have a fifth wheel. It's got to go. We got to get a toy hauler.
The toy hauler, a camper, and hanging out with Carl for a whole week. That'd be a great
Toy
time.
hauler is the camper. It's
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. This was fun. Make sure to check out Bobby's Cryptid Corner today at 2. Today is Tuesday. Over on That One Time I Was Abducted by Aliens. You can go.
Actually,
hang out
today is Bree and Jamie talking about their Bigfoot expedition.
Oh, so it's not
tomorrow.
Cryptid
Is Bobby Cryptid Corner?
Ah,
It's on a Wednesday this week.
Okay, got a little
It's
confused
okay.
there.
It's okay. How about
Sorry.
Cassie? Do we got any readings tonight?
Man, I'm not
We
up
do.
on my.
It's Tuesday.
I don't have all my stuff.
It's okay. It's
Hold
okay. We
up.
got Paranormal Highway today. Do we got a little bit of that?
I think we have Paranormal Highway.
Yes.
Man, I just don't have anything pulled up right now. But
We
please
also
make
got-
sure to support everybody that supports us, guys.
We also got some work to do for the Odd House Network, guys. Got to shoot our intro video.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
When are we gonna do that?
I don't know. We better do it soon.
Ben and Joe are gonna come hunting us down.
So that's
I'm
coming up
surprised.
too, guys. Odd House is going to be.
Yeah, we're still in the works, guys. Still working on Odd House, but it's coming together.
And how about smut stuff?
We did change. We did a brand change. We went from Smutcast to Smut Stuff. And you can check that out every Thursday over here on the Chad Smith podcast. That's where we just pull up some not safe for work TikToks and news articles and it's a little bit more laid back of a show. Well, a lot more laid back of a show. So check us out on Thursdays. And what's Enzo putting in the chat? Send your Smutcast videos, Smut Stuff videos to the Chad Smith
Enzo,
podcast
look what your life has come to.
on TikTok. Yeah, 20 years in the military, and here we are putting up Smutcast.
We thank you for your
TikTok.
service.
Thank you so much, Enzo. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, if you guys
wanna-
find
hey,
anything
hey.
funny on.
Our boy Joe Roach, we love you, man. We hope you're getting better, man.
Yeah, Roach. Definitely
You can
cool
hear
to
us.
have you back in
Love
the
you.
community again, man. And thanks for hanging out with us on Chop Shop. Yeah, check out Chop Shop today, this Friday. And oh yeah, Sonny's got some.
Man.
Can't
I
be
get to
sharing
go-
that news yet.
Yeah, I can. I get to go talk to. Well, I guess not.
We got a pretty big name guest coming up on the show, so keep an eye out on Paranormal Chop Shop on Facebook because got some cool stuff in the works over there.
We do, guys.
All right,
Let's get off here and get to it.
all right. Thanks everybody, and we'll
Thank
see
you, everybody. Love you. Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time on Thursday. Peace.
It sound right, boys.